Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele. I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch my silly show. First things first, before I get into a week of Bryan, before I get into anything else, I have to apologize. Last week, I got so busy with real life and work and it literally, I didn't even realize that I hadn't filmed until the day after when it was supposed to actually air. So I apologize for anybody who was like, what happened? Where is that? Nothing was wrong or anything. I got so sucked into work and dealing with back to school with my kids and, some other issues and things. I just literally, it was on my calendar. I just missed it. Literally, just went right past it. So I apologize that I ghosted everybody last week. It was utterly not my intent. As you can tell by my unkept hair and unshaven neck parts, and untrimmed beard, man, I am a mess today. I am still very busy. The deadlines are coming. We're getting ready to get into Gen Con, which means I have people that need things like pronto. Got picked up a couple of small paint commissions. It's been a very hectic couple of weeks. So I apologize for my appearance and the fact that I ghosted you last week, but we're going to get a video in today that's actually going to kind of focus a little bit on that. When I realized what had happened, I decided, I was like, you know what, it might be a shorter video, but I want to at least talk about it. The week in Bryan, or technically 2 weeks in Bryan, played some of the D&D or the Forgotten Realms Magic with my son. I picked up a bunch of those cards. Still missing a couple of important ones, but made a couple of decks, and they're really fun. Big props to WotC for making a set that feels different than a regular Magic, but still has all that same nostalgia factor of playing the same kind of game. It's just got some new bells and whistles, but all D&D themed. It's really cool. I enjoy it a great deal. In fact, it has easily been the most Magic cards I've bought. The most Magic cards that I've purchased at one time in years, maybe even a decade. Having a great time with it. A whole bunch of very cool cards in there. I love the fact that they found ways to add Magic mechanics to mundane pieces of equipment like leather armor or 50 feet of rope. I'm sure there has to be a 10-foot pole card in there somewhere just because it's an old D&D joke, but I have not seen it yet. So I played a lot of Magic. I played a lot of Sea of Thieves. Finished up the Pirates of the Caribbean downloadable content extras. Which, by the way, if you've ever played Sea of Thieves, or if you like a kind of open-ended piracy games, that is easily one of the coolest add-ons to a game. So Sea of Thieves is normally very open-ended, and you just run around doing contract missions and try not to get jacked by jerky players and all that sort of thing. But it does get I enjoy it a great deal. I get a chance to spend a couple hours with my buddy online, but it is very repetitive. You do the same things a lot over and over and over again. Every once in a while, they'll include a special event like or a worldwide fishing event, or here's the five Ashen Kings if you can kill all of them. It's just kind of a build up of what you're already doing, but more focused on that. And then they announced this Pirates of the Caribbean, A Pirate's Life expansion. It was free, so all the DLC for Sea of Thieves is free, and it was amazing. It was basically 5 chapters of a story that of you like going to save Jack Sparrow from from Davy Jones' locker, and every section was kind of its own instance. So if you really didn't want to mess with other players, crews that are just out there to blow ships up and laugh at you, that sort of thing. If you did these Pirates Life Tall Tales, you kind of went into your own server kind of thing, and you got to do these neat, unique. You run through the city of the dead. Go through a siren's castle, like a bunch of stuff that you don't ever do in the regular game. And that was really neat. And we finished it last night, and it was a lot of fun. It had a very cool ending. The only thing that we were both complaining about is that throughout the game you get like new cosmetic stuff. It doesn't change the gameplay, but it's like, here's this new fancy sword. So if someone sees you, they go, "Oh, you did the thing." So that's kind of cool. But you didn't get any of that for Pirate's Life. Like, I was expecting us to get some kind of like crazy, other than just a name tag that you get to wear. I was expecting us to get some kind of crazy cool thing that would help, like basically kind of reward us. We didn't get any loot or anything like that. It was weird, but it was fun. It was a good time. Played in the Waking Realms game where I'm the cat monk, the capoeira cat monk, and I've mentioned before that I think we are coming to a culmination point. I think we're coming to a big climax. I still think that's the case, although I think we may have sidetracked ourselves into a miniature climax. We decided to venture off into this like city that's been hit with a magical meteor, and honestly, it sounds like Mordheim for anybody who plays who played that old GW game. But we're being paid to go and investigate this evil magical city, and who knows what happens when we get in there. That should be a lot of fun, because it sounds like the DM is going to make a bunch of like mutant monsters, like not just here's a minotaur, but it's a minotaur with like a crystal blade for a hand and like like glowing fire on his horns. Like he's going to add some stuff based off of this whole magic meteor thing that hit the town. Mutations, if you will. And so that sounds rad. I'm pretty happy about that. We played Curse of Strahd, and it was a downer. It was a bummer, because our main fighter character, like our main every round damage dealer, could not make it. He had to bow out, and no one plays his character when he's gone. We fought this like witch and her basically Baba Yaga. We fought this crazy witch, killed all of her minions, and we were pretty sure that we had her on the ropes, because the way she was acting, like running, like trying to run away and get away from us, and we were doing a really good job of keeping that from happening. But then she jumped inside of her house, and 3 of us got knocked out in one round, and 1 died on the following round. So like it was a hard combat, like not a insignificant amount of loss for our group. So we play that again next week, and I have a feeling that it's going to be a depressing, hey, what do we do now? Everything sucks type of game. Let's see, the other gaming. I played a game of Necromunda, and I'm finally getting the hang of the Paladin Enforcers. At the beginning, the first couple of games I was having is I was doing a real good job of like putting gangers down, putting my opponent in their place, but I'd lose one guy, I'd fail my battle test, and I would flee because my stats aren't all that great, and I'm expensive, so I have very few people on the board. Well, that game against some Vansar, I started figuring out what I need to do. Like I kind of, you know, tactically started figuring out what I need to do. It did not hurt that his armor saves were pretty terrible, so I was getting some squeaky wounds through. But I actually started using some of the abilities the Palanites have that other gangs have to work harder to get. I get standard, and so that was a lot of fun. Uh, but it was a mission where he had to try and come steal boxes from my deployment zone, and for every box that he didn't steal, I got a bunch of money. Um, well, he ended up not stealing any boxes, so I ended up getting a bunch of money. So I spent it on some new guys for my gang, and this upcoming weekend I'm supposed to play again against a team that beat me a while ago, a couple weeks ago, with a bunch of sneaky stuff. I've added a few bits and bobs to my force. So one of which is a very cool, very powerful little like piloted robot that I'm hoping will be a scary enough factor that it will be able to run around doing mission type things, and my opponent will just not want to come near it. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much all of my. I started. I officially started my orcs force for 40K. I got my box in the mail, and I read through the codex. Updated the app, but the app is still not fully updated with the book because apparently they have to wait until the mass release for the book. I don't know. Seems silly to me. If I've got the code, I should have the files, but okay. Um, it is a lot of fun, like looking at the different stuff, the new stuff in the codex. There are a lot of things that people are arguing about as whether or not it was intentional or if they are just overlooking something, and like we're gonna get a fact. Um, I think it's a mixed bag on those things. I think there's a few things that are definitely just mistakes. Either a version of the game, a version of the book didn't quite get everything changed, or it needed like an extra sentence of clarification or something along those lines. But I also think that there's a couple of things that people are complaining about that are just not complain worthy. It's forcing people to alter their tactics, and we all know, as if you're a miniature gamer, nobody likes changing gears on an army that you've been playing a long time. But so I think originally I was going to do snake bites because I love the idea of these kind of like primal orcs. But I think a lot of people are going to be doing snake bites. I think the clan snake bite is going to be very prevalent, paint job wise, rules wise. So what I think I'm going to do, because I love doing face paint on models, I think I'm going to do death skulls. Death skulls think that the color blue is lucky, so they paint everything they have blue, and they do like half blue face paint and like palms and things like that. So I'm probably going to do death skulls for painting purposes, but also they've got some pretty cool bonuses in game as well, especially for the type of army that I want to play. Uh, but it's a slow growing thing. Even with the couple of like boxes and eBay buys I scooped up, I still have just like around maybe 1,200 points. So I'm not there yet, and most of it's not assembled. Most of it's still sitting on sprue because I haven't had time. Um, which brings us to work stuff. I am almost done with the Shadowrun book. It is moving very quickly now because we're into like the action-packed kind of second half of the book, and so it's moving very quickly. I hope to be done with it next week, which is a little later than scheduled, but I with everything in life going on, I wanted to make sure that I gave and the fact that this book is a herald to someone who is a big follower of Catalyst Game Labs. They're a huge fan of Shadowrun. They went the extra mile on a Kickstarter, and that's why this book is about one of their characters in the first place. I want to make sure that I do it right, and to be completely honest, there have been several paragraphs. There was an entire chapter that I went in, I reread because it just felt funny, and I gutted it because I didn't think it was fair to the character. I didn't think that it portrayed them in the didn't portray them in the light that we wanted to. Um, and hopefully now that the new that I've fixed it, turn those words around and fixed it up, that will be a different story. And I'm very excited where things are going right now in the book, and if all goes well, it will move very, very quickly in this this last chunk. I'll get that turned in, and then we'll be able to start focusing on some other projects. But that's been basically eating my life. Is trying to get that done and trying to get it done right. There's been a few sidetracky type things again because Gen Con's right around the corner. There are a lot of things that, like, someone will send me a message and be like, "Hey, I need this redone, or I need this real quick. Can you put this together real fast?" And I hate taking away from the time that I should be working on the Shadowrun book, but the Shadowrun book doesn't have isn't a Gen Con product. It's not going to be out by then, obviously, and it never was. So if I've got an employer who says I need this done by this day so it can be printed for Gen Con, I've got to give it an afternoon. I've got to work over the weekend and make sure that it gets taken care of. That's just part of being a fucking professional. Ooh, jeez, I just dropped an F-bomb on. I'm sorry, everybody, if you're offended. You can tell I'm tired. Whoops. I feel sheepish. But what was I saying before I totally derailed myself with an F-bomb? Yeah, so I have to get that stuff done first, because it literally has to be done, and in some of these cases, it isn't a matter of, like, do I trust another writer or another editor to finish this project up or to do some changes? Absolutely, but I don't want them to. Like, I want this project to be mine. I want this to I don't want to risk having someone come in and try and finish my idea and them completely derailing something or saying something that they missed a nuance earlier in the thing. It's just easier if I take care of that stuff, with the exception of the fact that it means that I'm probably working a weekend or late nights or something along those lines. Which brings me to today's topic. So, I've mentioned before, I mentioned on my TikTok, I've mentioned before that I used to be in pretty good shape. I used to play hockey, I used to skateboard. I used to be a hunky guy. But as life, throws you curveballs, as a mammal, when you are happy, you put on extra pounds. That's actually a fact, because you are more complacent with your mate. You're more complacent with your position, so you're not trying to fight for a role or fight for a place in society. But I had let it get out of hand, and about 2 weeks ago, I made the mistake. Not the mistake. I made the decision. I stepped on a scale, and I have never seen. I didn't think that it was possible to see that, to have that number come off of myself. Sorry, I keep itching my eyeballs, but it's very dry in my office. I don't know why. I think my plant is sucking up all the juice. I hadn't seen a number that big come off of my scale ever. And it threw me for a loop. And then it made me think about things about how, how often I wake up sore. Uh, convention season is coming. I need to be able to be on my feet all day without, having giant back spasms and things like that. So I made the decision to go ahead and start trying to lose some of the weight. In 2 weeks, I have lost 5 pounds. Yay! I know that's not much, but especially compared to the overall grand scheme of things, that's not much. But it's a start, and I am trying real hard this time to stay focused, to keep working on the eating, what I'm supposed to, cut down on the snacking, except for snacking that is like zero, very little carbs and very little sugar, that kind of thing, like a piece of cheese, something along those lines. I'm trying, and I feel okay. I mean, other than this morning, I'm very tired, but that was actually just that was a sleep issue. That has nothing to do with me being out of shape, or maybe it does. I don't know. But I'm trying, and I'm. It's been 2 weeks, and I'm trying to stick with it. But part of what I wanted to talk about is, so as someone who sits in a chair all day, especially in long hours, my feet swell up, my legs hurt, my back hurts sometimes. Uh, it's it is very hard to stay focused and keep going and keep working on what you're working on and giving all the attention you need to your projects, and still try and get out and exercise and eat right, and not just grab a bag of red vines and that's your food for the day, because you're going to be tethered to the computer, and you can't cook. um, these are things that you got to look out for, and unless you are just kind of part-time designing it, and we're only at the studio computer for a little while, you're only designing for a little while at a time, you got all this extra time, or maybe your second job is a little more active. um, I'm not in that place. This is my only job, this is my career, and I spend a lot of time in this chair, or a lot of time in the chair at the hobby station. um, which is why a lot of my joints hurt, after all day. But I've got to try and get better. I got to try and get up and around and stretch, and take a break in the middle of the day. Even if if you don't feel like eating lunch, take a break just to kind of get away from it all, and reset your brain. Because honestly, mental health is just as important, if not more so, than physical health. Um, Mental health is even harder to maintain. I know me personally. I find it's a way of meditation. That's what I do when I listen to podcasts and I paint. I just get lost in the podcast, get lost in them telling jokes or telling stories or whatever, and then I just sit there and paint. That helps calm my nerves. That helps reset my brain, my ego. Um, Also, knowing when to say no, and that's not a drug thing. That's not a say no to drugs. It's not. It's not one of those. It's learn that if someone calls me up and says, "Hey, what are you doing Friday afternoon? I want to play a game of Necromunda." If I'm on deadline, if I'm already stressed, yeah, it might be nice to take a couple hours off and play a game. But if the backlash is going to be, as soon as I'm done with that game, oh, I got to get back to the studio, and then work until midnight. That's not doing what it's supposed to do. That's not calming you. That's not recreationally making you happy. All that's doing is pressing pause on your work stress. And so, what I would suggest is you take legitimate breaks and think how things are going. You know, give yourself some time for some positive thought. And definitely, I know there's a lot of people out there that say they can't help it. Don't dive in on the negative. Don't, jump on, some some thread about one of the things you're working on, or you just trying to stay away from the negativity. They always say don't read the comments. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes I like the comments, but you gotta take into consideration that a lot of those people that are leaving comments and stuff are just doing it because they want some internet anonymity, they want some power, and so they say nasty things. So don't add that to your meditation, because you will go crazy. You'll lose it. I try, aside from painting, I try and take game nights. Every once in a while, we're playing Curse of Strahd, or I get together with my buddy from North Carolina and we play Xbox, most of Sea of Thieves. But that's my way of kind of finding therapy. Now, that is not to say that actual therapy is not a bad thing. When it comes to adults, I think that therapy is amazing. I think that it is absolutely sometimes necessary to get a hold of what's going on in your head. But I do think that you can't let it be an excuse either. You mean, well, my therapist said that I need to do this, and it's that whole thing of your rights end where mine begin. It's the same idea with your mental health exercises. If there's something that you're doing that's directly bothering somebody else, then you need to stop and move to something else, do something else, unless they're being unreasonable, obviously. If you're just kind of like sitting there, eyes closed, relaxed, and they go, quit sleeping, that's their fault. That's on them. But yeah, meditation, therapy, just ways to get your brain right. Occasionally, and this is the hard thing, if you as a freelancer, it is very difficult to, you don't often get praise, but any kind of praise is always a shot in the arm. It is always, unless you find out that like your mom wrote it, or you wrote it so it would appear that you got fan mail. Unless it's something sad like that. General, like, finding something nice, even if it's just like a 3.5-star review that's like, yeah, this product was fun. I don't know how much I'll use it, but it was a great read. You take that and you walk away with it and you go, it was a great read. Like you hold on to whatever part of that statement is a boost. You don't need to know where they say, well, and then we replaced them the next day with the cheaper version, or whatever. You just need to know that you did the right thing, and in your headspace, you're in the right place because someone told you that it was cool. So mental health is a big thing, and I'm going to say this: if you think that you are clinically depressed, like you just can't get, COVID did this to a lot of people. You just can't get out of the sadness box. Everything's crushing down. You don't feel like dancing. You don't feel like getting out of bed. You don't feel like working. You're just super bummed out and sad. Then maybe it's time to talk to a professional about helping you overcome those moments, because those moments are the scariest moments for everyone around you, including clients that are waiting on your work. Like I said, today was going to be a short episode. I just want to really focus on, trying to eat better. This is my pledge to you. I want to be around to do these videos for a long time, and you guys hopefully be able to see week to week a change in me, and I'll give you an update when I can. My goal, Natalie and I are going to be taking the gamer cruise with Satine and Jameson in the spring. It's gonna be an extremely belated honeymoon, and one of the things I want to hopefully be able to do and feel good about is go swimming. I love to swim. I used to swim like a fish. When we would go someplace out of the pool, I would be one of the last people they could kick out. I loved swimming, and I know so does my son. I'm hoping that I can get into a position where into a place, bodily speaking, where I feel good wearing a swimsuit. And no, that's not like a bikini joke or anything like that. Because I know a lot of women have trouble. I don't want to wear a bikini because it's too revealing. No, for me, it's just I think I'm so big right now. My swim trunks, none of them would fit, and even if they did, I probably couldn't tie the little loop thing, so it's they might fall off, which is no fun for anybody. Um, so that's my goal. My goal is to be in decent swim trunks shape. I'm not looking to get jacked. I'm not looking to pump any iron. I don't have time for that. I just want to shed the pounds and not be shaped like a Christmas ornament. So, in order to get back to that, I need to finish up work. I need to start getting back to my normal routine. So, although today is a short episode, I do want to go ahead and say please be safe. Get vaccinated if you are not. The new variant on the coronavirus is very invasive. Luckily, only like 7% of vaccinated people are. It's still a huge number. 7% of the cases that this Delta variant has had are vaccinated people. So play the odds, get vaccinated. Don't believe the haters and the conspiracy theorists. Just do what you can to protect you, your family, and your friends. Have fun, and when you get a chance, play some games. We'll see you next week. Again, I'm sorry that I ghosted you last week, and next week hopefully we'll have something really cool to show you.